Well, Anchorage teachers will see a wage increase under the agreement that they have reached with the Anchorage School District.
And this all comes after weeks of negotiation and some fearing a strike. We've got Joe Allgood joining us now with more details on this, Joe.
Yeah, that's right. The tentative agreement includes 17% wage increase over 4 years. Now, all that's left is for the school board to ratify it. Members of the Anchorage Education Association voted on the agreement over the last 2 weeks, concluding last Friday. The 17% increase will happen incrementally. Pay will go up 3% for the remainder of this school year, 5% next year and the year after, and then 4% in the final fourth year. This comes after one of the longest contract negotiations in decades, and the district announcing they're facing a $90 million deficit, though they say they factored the increase into the budget.
The bare minimum we can do is make sure that our wages can compete with some of the lower 48 districts, with some of the districts neighboring us, because we have great teachers in the Anchorage School District, and whatever we can do to maintain them, I'm willing to entertain. And I think that this contract is fair, and I'm glad that that's been resolved.
We reached out to the Anchorage Education Association for comment. They said they would talk after the contract has been ratified at tomorrow's school board meeting.
In the meantime, Joe, thanks so much. The Anchorage School District has released its proposed budget for next year with cuts the superintendent describes as severe.
Now, the district says it's expecting, as Joe said, $90 million deficit despite an increase in funding from the legislature last year that could result in the hundreds of teachers' positions being eliminated. Things like middle school sports and popular programs like Ignite could also be cut. Superintendent Jharrett Bryantt says that there would be no money to bring them back. Also, school class sizes could increase by an average of 4 students. He says voters passing a temporary property tax increase could help prevent that.
If that levy passes, it's the equivalent of a -2 to class sizes. So we'd be going from a +4 to classroom to a +2 if the levy passes.
And we want to release a correction to one of our previous reports so you can be involved. A public testimony will be held tomorrow at the school board meeting, which starts at 6. We previously reported that public testimony would happen during tomorrow's work session on the budget, but that was incorrect. So again, if you want to comment on this, the 6 p.m. Meeting is where that can happen.
All right, the Fairbanks North Star Borough School District experiencing a little bit of a different budget situation.
They're experiencing a multi-million-dollar surplus this year. The school board will review a budget proposal this week that includes significant investments. Plans call for 30 more certified teachers and the return of elementary music education, which was cut in previous years. This proposal also aims to lower elementary class sizes from 26 to 23 students. Chief Operations Officer Andy DeGrasse says this multi-million-dollar surplus is the first he's seen in 8 years. He says it's a direct result of difficult decisions made over the last couple of years.
We've made large structural changes in how we're running the school district. A lot of those decisions were emotional and difficult. School closure, contracting out custodial services, very emotional. I acknowledge difficult decisions to make and difficult for a lot of folks in the community to go through, but we feel strongly those were the right decisions to make.
Now, the school board will consider the budget and any changes over the next 2 months. A final submission to the borough due by April 1st.
Let's transition down to Juneau now. In Capitol coverage, education leaders say they back a plan to change how schools are funded so they can prevent sudden layoffs after years of budget uncertainty.
So under the current system, funding is decided by how many students are in schools around the time in October. But education leaders say that makes dramatic shifts in what they can afford year to year. The Fairbanks North Star Borough School District Superintendent told lawmakers it's played a role in closing 7 schools, also eliminating 360 jobs. The new plan offers 4 different ways to fund schools, including a 3-year average number of students, also allowing schools the ability to choose whichever is higher. Supporters say it gives districts certainty months earlier, letting them plan budgets and hire teachers without waiting until the summer to find out how much money they'll get.
School boards budget with a lot of question marks and assumptions, and that's one of them. And so we have to try and estimate what we think the political reality is going to be for those budget decisions as we try and move forward.
And so this bill would help give the student count number in spring of the year prior to the student year would take a 3-year average or the prior year number, and that's the number that's the funding the districts would receive based on their student count.
Now, Representative Bill Elam said in his view, this new bill could make an already complicated system even more confusing. Governor Mike Dunleavy's spokesperson told us that the governor typically does not comment on bills before they are passed.
And it's starting to feel like spring just around the corner.
Feels like it, right? We had a little extra daylight, some warmer temps, but it's too early, I think, right?
It's got to be.
For spring. Melissa, what do you say? Is it too early?
If only there was some sort of marmot that could tell us.
If
the answer,
only.
right?
Ooh,
Right? That would help us.
Oh, but
No.
is there?
It is going to feel pretty spring-like for the next week, but no, we're definitely not done with winter just yet. It's coming back eventually, but it's warm out there tonight, and we're going to hold on to warm temperatures. 29 in Anchorage, 17 in Fairbanks. It's only the second time that we've seen temperatures this warm this year in Fairbanks. Palmer at 32 and Juneau at 39. Juneau is where we are seeing the rain, more rain on the way, more wind, as we do have a large storm system pushing in here across the Pacific. Now it is southeast and the coastal areas of South Central that will take the brunt of this storm. But as it pushes north, we will see chances even for a little wintry mix and some strong winds moving into Anchorage and the valley. That wintry mix and breezy wind will also move into Bristol Bay, prompting winter weather advisories there. For the higher elevations north of Fairbanks, winter weather advisories in effect for a little snow combined with the wind and blowing snow, still a concern for most of the Arctic coastline. So the timing of this, again, this first band, that warm front, is going to move in overnight to southeast, pushing into south central early tomorrow morning. Again, most of that staying south and east of the mountains. Temperature-wise, though, it's warm across the state. 35 in Anchorage, 11 in Fairbanks, up to 45 in Juneau with that rain coming down tomorrow. Bethel at 15 degrees. As we move through this week, a couple of chances for both snow and rain, and I'll have more details on what you should expect from that wind coming up here in just a few minutes.
All right, 6 more weeks of winter.
Here it is.
Oh, we got. Oh,
It's
all right.
official.
Thank you, Melissa. All right, many Western Alaskans still recovering from former Typhoon Halong, some still displaced from their homes. Now the Trump administration has denied full federal disaster funding for that devastating storm.
That's right, John. And when it comes to state and recovery costs, it is important to note that it's rare for the federal government to pay 100% of all those costs for the first 90 days of recovery following a disaster declaration. All this information, according to spokespeople with the Department of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. That initial denial happened in December. The state appealed that decision in mid-January, asking for a 90-10 federal-state split. State spokespeople told me today that this kind of back and forth is typical and that it might take months or even years for the final federal-state cost share to be determined. Extensive use of aircraft for rescue and recovery due to Typhoon Halong. Infrastructure repairs making up a lot of the really costly aspects of this recovery effort. However, again, the final total of even that first 90 days will not be determined for some time. The state has multiple agencies that are reporting to it typhoon-related costs, and then it has to take those numbers and confirm that all those costs are appropriate for reimbursement based on the law. So this process happens in tandem with state requests to FEMA, to the feds, for federal reimbursement.
It's quite the process, Augusta.
It's quite the process.
But we know within the past year, the Trump administration has been accused of politicizing which states received the federal funding, right? Is that the thing here? Could it be possible that this was a political move?
For sure. No, it's a valid question. Our current political climate raises that question, of course. But so far, there haven't been any public comments by the president or by his administration that this denial, which again happened in December, was due to political disagreements when this has happened in the past with the Trump administration in terms of disaster funding for states. It's been very public, and we haven't seen that in this case. FEMA has already awarded over $30 million to individual Alaskans that applied for that individual assistance plan, and that funding was also fast-tracked for distribution. However, a big question, an important question, and we'll keep an eye on that appeal approval process. Again, it could take time, but there are tens of millions of dollars on the line.
I know you're on it. Augusta, thank you very much.
A recent ruling in Anchorage is being called a victory by breweries across Alaska, as an existing limitation on live events was found to be unconstitutional. That ruling came from Superior Court Judge Adolf Zeman in Anchorage. He found that limiting breweries to just 4 live entertainment events a year violated both the U.S. and state constitution.
Now, prior to the new ruling, some establishments like Lat 65 and Hoodoo Brewing in Fairbanks, they looked for ways around those limitations, spending tens of thousands of dollars on liquor licenses. Still, leaders at Lat 65 say that they would have still acquired a liquor license to get around other limitations like being able to serve patrons 36 ounces.
This ruling only really allows to live music and performances, whereas like showing like TVs to like show sports, and like we're showing some football now, like with the Olympics coming up, we'll have that sort of stuff on. Like we wouldn't be able to do that even under this ruling. So the liquor license is allowing us to do that.
Now, Black Spruce Brewing in Fairbanks did not purchase a liquor license. Owners of Black Spruce say that it's not clear if the ruling will lead to changes in their operations at this time.
Thanks for listening. Click subscribe so you can get the latest podcast from Alaska's news source automatically. And stay up to date with breaking news and in-depth reporting available for free 24/7 with the Alaska's news source app.